I'm Porter Knight and I live in Bristol, Vermont, which is an amazing community. I think it's the best town ever, and I actually sell t-shirts that say so. Bristol, Vermont, best period town period ever period. Um, I I've lived here since 1997, and the town is really kind of like extended family to me. And as my husband and I raised our family and navigated, the various trials and tribulations that life brings to humans, the people in this community have really been there for me, and it matters to me. So, one of the things that I feel grateful to have the opportunity to do at this point in my life is to do fun things for Bristol. And I talk about all of my enthusiasms as what I call hyper-local placemaking. So what hyper-local placemaking means to me is really focusing on just this little village of Bristol and making it be not just the place people want to be, but a place where people feel warm, welcome, and happy to be. So for me, placemaking is about making everybody feel safe and included, and everybody feel like they want to extend that to everybody else. So residents and visitors alike, I want to feel like, yeah, Bristol is absolutely the best period town, period, ever, period. So I've been on the board of the Bristol Recreation Club for a number of years. The Bristol has a unique situation. The Rec Club is a 501(c)(3) that was founded in 1921, so it's been around for over 100 years. And the Rec Club owns 10 acres that's called the Rec Park. And the Rec Club doesn't have any paid staff or any real source of income, but basically it's run by volunteers, and we just manage outdoor space for recreation. And in 2016, I was like, hey, what would be cool? Like, we should have a trail in Bristol. And other Rec Club board members were like, yeah, that would be great, but it's kind of a thing. And I was like, well, my older son was heading off to college, and I was like, I think I have time. So I started talking to people about, what would a trail mean to you, or what might a trail look like? What thoughts, questions, or concerns do you have? And who else should I talk to? And I just kept getting more like, you should talk to so and so, you should talk to so and so. And when I got the 100th person, like, you should talk to so and so, I was like, maybe we should just like have a meeting. So I made posters that said, imagine a trail, and had a meeting. And 42 people came. Now, if you live in a small town in Vermont, that's pretty unusual to have 42 people at a meeting unless there's a problem. But what I was struck by then was that like people want to be part of something positive. They were excited about this. They were excited about what a trail could mean for community, what a trail could mean for education, how a trail might be a way to engage people in the arts and in history and in music. And people were passionate about the idea of a trail for recreation. Sure, that was where I was coming from the rec department or the rec club. But people are also passionate about the trail because of the way that it helps people connect to the environment, and that with people having greater access and understanding and appreciation of the natural resource gems we have immediately adjacent to our village, then they'd be more invested in caring for it. And people were passionate about a trail because trails not only build community, but they financially make communities grow. So trails make property values go up. They make wilderness spaces or undeveloped spaces feel safer. They make it a place that people want to come to, a place that people want to live in, but a place where people come and spend money because they'll come and go for the trail and then get a creamy, or come in to go to the shop and buy a puzzle, and then, oh, did you know we could go have our lunch out on the trail? So the trail was the first sort of placemaking project that I spearheaded, and that was where I realized that in our small communities, there are a lot of people who feel very, very passionate about all the goodness that we have. And there's a lot of attention and focus spent on solving the problems instead of just celebrating the goodness. And the irony is that when we celebrate the goodness, that helps alleviate some of the problems. It also makes people feel more connected, so they're more willing to take the time to solve the challenging and complicated problems that are sometimes in our communities, but not really within the capacity of our community to solve. but we can be curious about them. And when we're feeling safe and connected in our own spaces that we call home or community, then we're more likely to extend compassion to others and feel invested in making them feel safe and welcome also. A gratitude tree is right on Main Street in Bristol. And so it's very visible. And so when people are stopped at the light, they're right there. And I see people sometimes while they're sitting at the red light looking over and be like, "Hmm, what's that? That's interesting." But if there's a bench right there too, and if you sit on the bench or stand across the street, you'll see people the whole season that it's up. So the gratitude tree is up from we have a music festival in Bristol called Pocock Rocks in August. And we start the gratitude tree then, and it's there for the fall until Thanksgiving. And then we take it down right after that so that it doesn't get unsightly with the winter. But you see people residents just walking down the street to go to the pizza place, or visitors who have parked and are walking down the street to go somewhere, stop and look at it. And then they walk up to it and they start looking at the leaves that people have written. And then they go and they pull something out and they write it. It's amazing how magnetic it is for people to see. And the experience that they have is always with a smile, because you can't read these things and not sort of be like, oh, that's nice. And so, I have some of the leaves here today because I like to share them. So this is one of my favorites from one of the first years we did it. And it says, "I am grateful to have found love again," which just makes me tear up. There's so many written by people of different demographics. So these are clearly both written by children or possibly an adult with childlike handwriting. I am grateful for my friends. And this one says, "Having good parents." Um, This one says, "I am grateful for new beginnings and connections." And this one just says, "Beautiful community." Um, I am grateful I can walk and bike safely in Bristol. I'm grateful the trees, mountains, natural beauty of this area. Um, and this one says, "I am grateful for people who get in touch for no other reason than to say hello." And they drew a really pretty little piece of art there. We get all types of messages, and um, it's that's the story. The story is the messages that people write on this tree. The story is the way that people come to the tree. And I've had people reach out to me from other communities and say, can I do that?" I'm like, "Of course you can do it. Like, this is not a patented thing. I heard about this from someone else, and I don't even remember where. I was at a conference, and somebody was talking about communities, and they had a slide up, and it was a tree with these little leaves on it. And, they mentioned gratitude tree and then went to the next slide. And I was like, hold up, I'm
Mm.
going to do that. And then I did. So as I said, we have the gratitude project going from August through Thanksgiving. And then we take the leaves down. I collect all the leaves, which is very fun, and I type them up. And then I have a word cloud produced from that, that shows all of the themes. So it doesn't list every single one, and it anonymizes when people says like, "I'm grateful for," and then fills in a name. Um, but then that word cloud gets put on the website for Bristol Core, which is our downtown support group. So people can see the word cloud from previous years on the Bristol Core website. And then we wait until the end of summer and we fire it back up again so people can hang their leaves. And it's really fun because seasonally, like, people are hanging their leaves, which we have, they're sort of like, different colors, as the leaves of the tree, which, as we get into fall, are falling off. So people are tying up their leaves and then the leaves fall off. And so by Thanksgiving, the tree looks like it has little colored leaves, instead of its green leaves. So it'll happen again next year. And in the meantime, people can be thinking about their gratitude or participating in other community events. I don't think that you need any special tools or skills. And I think that if you have an idea, to just go for it. I guess the only advice that I would offer is to to do what you do with love and joy, and to not be attached to the outcome. So if you are feeling full of love and joy to do what you do, and it doesn't turn out the way you had hoped or planned, or it isn't received in the way that you'd expected, that's okay. It doesn't matter because you were still doing it full of love and joy. And so it's not about thinking that it has to produce some type of outcome. Attachment is the biggest downer. And in my work as a consultant, so um, I teach workplace productivity and office organizing. So I'm a business consultant, and I talk about how you can get more done with less stress. A huge part of that is understanding the role of attachment and how attachment undermines our capacity to think and perform and makes us feel crummy. So attachment is whenever we resist what is in preference for what we think should be. So attachment is the sentence that starts with, that's not fair, or it shouldn't be like that, or that's not right, or they shouldn't do that, or I didn't deserve that, or why? Why me? Why here? That's attachment. It's resistance to what is in preference for what should be. So letting go of attachment doesn't mean that you don't have visions or ideas or dreams. It means that you're not fixated on an outcome and you don't feel the need to control where it goes. So you say, I want to do this and I'm going to do it. But if you run into resistance, you can say, well, that's interesting. And then you can be curious about what options there are. So you may approach a landowner and say, I'd like to do a gratitude tree on this tree. And they'll say, I don't want people on that parcel of property. And you say, okay, thanks. And you respect that. And you smile and you go find some other way to do gratitude, maybe virtually, or you find a tree on the other side of the street. But it doesn't mean that they're bad or wrong if they don't want to participate in the vision that you have. So I guess that's my only advice is to let go of attachment and to simply, be who you are. I don't know. I have another story on that, which is, because I've done in the last, 10 or so years, a lot of different projects, and sometimes they don't always produce the result that I might have expected. And there's a parable of the snake. So the parable of the snake is that a person sees a snake in the road and they go to move it out of the road so that it won't get run over. So they pick up the snake to move it and the snake bites them. So they're in the hospital and they're getting care, and the care provider says, well, I guess you learned your lesson. You won't do that again. And the person says, of course I would. And the caregiver says, like, what? Like the snake bit you, like you're getting hospital care. And the person says, it is my nature to help, and it is the snake's nature to bite, and I'm not going to change my nature because of theirs. And so I think that we each sleep best at night if we simply behave in the way that speaks best to our own values and ideals and moves us towards the goals or outcomes that seem important to us. And when we choose action that aligns those values and those goals, it feels really good. So don't let other people's values or goals or actions detract from your own. You don't have to fight them or be hostile or antagonistic. You could just say like, that's interesting. That's not what I saw coming, or that's not what I expected, or that's not the way I see it. What do I want to do now? And then move on to whatever you want to do next.